Class of 2018, this is your day to celebrate, and everyone in this room is celebrating with you. But exactly what are you celebrating? It might be something different for each of you. I personally see today as the beginning of a celebration of what is to come for each of you as members of the most promising and rewarding healthcare profession, pharmacy. As your fellow alumni will tell you, there is something about the experience you've had as a student at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy that will energize you and give you the confidence and the fearlessness to set out on a path of extraordinary success. As new practitioners, you have amazing opportunities in front of you to be critical thinkers and to solve the perennial long-term problems that face healthcare, research, and society. Challenge the status quo to healthcare in this country. Use your passion, use your enthusiasm to drive our profession to truly impact patient care in a more visible and sustainable manner.
You are in a place in your chair right now as a graduate, primarily because of your intellect, primarily because of your mind, and that's fabulous. And all the work that brought you here will carry you far in the world.
Above all, we had passion. Passion got us to the finish line today. Passion to change, passion to give, passion to help. That is what took us from our white coats to these black robes today. Congratulations to the class of 2018. We did it.
What I've loved most about being in the PhD program is the people. The students are amazing, the classes are awesome. It's like being in one big family.
I've taken away a lot from this program. I've learned really great technical skills, and I've also been able to build up a really strong and wonderful team to collaborate with in the future.
I am very confident that the knowledge I have gained will serve me well in my public health mission.
It's been a really fun 18 months. I look forward to seeing where it'll take me next. Who knows?
Congratulations to class of 2018. We finally made it.